So, you want to start a business in Papua New Guinea? It's an exciting thought, right? But that legal stuff can feel like a huge hurdle. Well, in today's explainer, we are going to slice right through all that complexity. We're giving you a straightforward, step-by-step guide to officially forming your company. Let's jump in.
Every big company out there started exactly where you are now, with a great idea, something you're really passionate about. But to turn that spark into a real, lasting business, you've got to give it a proper formal structure. And that journey starts with one crucial first step: incorporation. So, what is incorporation really? Well, in the simplest terms, it's the process of creating a company that is legally separate from you. Think about that. This is an absolute game changer because it builds a protective wall between the business's finances and your personal assets. We're talking your house, your car, your savings.
Okay, so what are the actual real-world advantages of giving your business its own legal ID? Let's break it down.
The moment your company is incorporated, it gets a bunch of new powers. It can sign contracts, it can own property, it can even sue or be sued, all in its own name. And that leads to the biggest benefit of all: limited liability. If the business ever gets into financial trouble, it's the company's assets that are on the line, not your personal ones. Plus, it gains something called perpetual succession, which is just a fancy way of saying the company can live on, even beyond its original owners.
Honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. The certificate of incorporation is your company's official birth certificate. From that day forward, it is legally its own person, totally separate from the people who own it.
All right, let's get down to the practical stuff. If you're based in PNG and ready to go, here's the checklist of what you'll need and the 4 main steps to make your company a reality. Okay, before you even think about the paperwork, you need to have a few key things lined up. First, you need at least one shareholder. And this is a big one. You need at least one director who is a resident of Papua New Guinea. This is all about having local accountability. You'll also need a physical registered office and an address for service right here in the country. And here is some good news. A recent change means you don't need a company secretary anymore, which definitely simplifies things.
The whole process really breaks down into 4 logical stages. First, you've got to lock in your unique company name. Then you gather up all your documents. After that, you file the application. And finally, you get that all-important certificate of incorporation in your hands. See? A very clear path.
Now here's a super helpful update that makes life a little easier. Since 2014, you still need to get signed consent forms from all your directors and shareholders, but, and this is the key part, you don't have to submit them with the application anymore. You just keep them safe at your registered office. It might seem small, but it really cuts down on the initial paperwork. Okay, that covers local companies. But what if your company is already up and running somewhere else in the world and you want to expand into Papua New Guinea? The rules are a bit different, so let's walk through what you need to know.
For overseas companies, the magic phrase to remember is carrying on business. If you're doing things like managing property, setting up an office, or handling shares in PNG, that's the trigger. And once that happens, the clock starts ticking. You have exactly 1 month to get your application for registration filed. So what's different? Well, instead of a resident director who helps run the company, an overseas company needs a resident agent. Their job is specific. They're your official point of contact in PNG to accept any legal documents on your company's behalf. You'll also have to provide key documents from your home country, like proof you're incorporated there and a certified copy of your company's constitution.
And here's a small but absolutely vital detail for staying compliant. Every single one of your official documents, we're talking invoices, contracts, letterheads, you name it, has to clearly state 2 things: your company's full name and its country of origin. So something like ABC Limited, incorporated in Australia.
Look, getting that certificate is a huge milestone, but it's really just the beginning of the journey. Now we have to talk about what you need to do to keep your company in good legal standing year after year. And trust me, staying compliant is not something you can just brush off. If you fail to file documents on time, you could be looking at some pretty hefty penalties. We're talking fines up to 10,000 kina. That really shows you how seriously these ongoing duties are taken. So what are these duties? Well, the big one is filing an annual return every year. It's basically a quick check-in to confirm all your company details on the public register are still correct. You also have to let the registrar know within a month if anything major changes, like a new director or address. And, of course, keep those signed consent forms filed away safely at your office.
Now, let's look at the other end of the life cycle. What happens when a business has run its course? How do you officially close the books and shut it down?
A company usually gets removed from the register in one of two ways. The first way is on purpose. Shareholders decide it's time to close up shop after all the debts have been settled. But the second way is involuntary. If you're more than 6 months late on your annual return, the registrar can actually start the process to remove your company for you, whether you like it or not.
And for any overseas companies listening, there's one extra step you need to remember. Before you can stop operating in PNG, you have to give public notice that you're planning to leave. This gives any creditors a heads up. After you've made that public notice, you've 3 months to make it official with the registrar.
So there you have it. You've navigated the legal system, you've ticked all the boxes, and your company is now officially born. The legal framework is all set up, so the only real question left is, what amazing things are you going to build with it?